Joining me now is author and political commentator Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
When God looked at man, he said it's not good for man to be alone. He gave him a woman. He didn't give him a village. He didn't give him the community. He said, be fruitful and multiply to this man and this woman. So it's supposed to be God, husband, wife.
If you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always done.
Hello, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to Shaking My Head with Shemeka Michelle. And we are still in the series, The War on Words, because when the words change, the truth dies. So all last week, all this week, with the exception of Friday, we will be here dissecting words or phrases and what they mean, because there are a lot of lies hiding in plain sight. So we're going to continue to remove the mask from these phrases and these words to actually expose what's real, the truth, because people keep trying to switch things up. And as long as we allow them, we're going to lose, because the war is starting in the words. Today, we're going to be talking about sex work, the truth behind the phrase, sex work is work. Now, there's a big debate about it. I'm going to tell you my thoughts in a minute. But first, I want to say hello to everyone. Hello to Cougar. Hello, Asino. Hello to everybody joining us on Rumble, X, and YouTube. Thank you for being here. I am a bit sleepy. Okay, so I'm going to probably be low energy. I don't know, because I can sometimes get worked up. Hi, Husker, but I'm tired today, okay? So just to let you know, I may be a little more chill than usual. But let's get into this video that I came across. I don't know where the whatever podcast gets these intellectual midgets from, but they seem to have a lot. Like it's plentiful. They have their pick of those to choose from. And yeah, let's just start there. I don't know where they get these women from, but clearly we need to put the short bus back in rotation, because just listen for yourselves.
When it comes to a relationship, most men would not want to be in a relationship with a sex worker, whether in the past or present.
But you can't speak that for all and for everybody.
Well, sure, of course, I'm not speaking for all, but would you disagree? Generally speaking, men don't want to date prostitutes and porn stars. And
no, there's plenty of men out there.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. Generally speaking, I would say most men do not want to have long-term relationships with women who are involved with sex work.
I disagree.
You think the majority of men, so more than 50% of men, want to date and have long-term relationships with women who are involved in sex work?
It's 50-50, dude.
You think so?
50% of men would date. I feel like
50% of men.
I don't know. I'm not talking numbers and stuff. I don't know that. I'm just saying that we're all different, and who knows? Like,
I'm not okay. You have to understand. I'm not saying that it's impossible for a woman to, if you have a past of sex work, current sex work, prostitution, whatever it is, it's not going to be impossible for you to find a long-term relationship or a husband. However, I don't think my statement is wrong, which is the majority of men do not want to date or wife up a prostitute.
Okay.
Or a girl who's done porn.
I disagree with that. But
oh my goodness. And that's why I'm here today. Because by definition, sex work is work. By definition, the definition of work is activity involving mental or physical effort in order to achieve a purpose or result. So by definition, sex work is work. A lot of times that's what the debate is, whether or not it's work. And I had someone reach out to me to say that I needed to discuss this. And I was so happy because it was on my list to discuss, but I didn't know if people were actually interested. But I'm not coming from the angle of whether or not it's work, because again, by definition, it's activity involving mental or physical effort, which sex would be physical effort, done in order to achieve a purpose or result. I'm assuming the result that these women are going after would be financial, actually being able to make money. So by that regard, it is work. My issue, however, is that we are, or people are, beginning to paint this as empowerment. And that's where I have the issue, because empowerment is the process of becoming stronger and more confident. And I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that women sleeping with thousands of men, hundreds or thousands of men, I don't see them becoming stronger or more confident. When you have to go out here and alter your body, get new boobs, get new lips, your behind done, you aren't more confident. Nor to me are you stronger, because you are typically putting yourselves at risk just by going through with the surgeries to start with. And one of the things that aggravated me about that video that I just showed you is the delusion. The delusion from women who actually believe they aren't causing themselves destruction, like they're not being destructive. They're delusional to think that a majority of men would actually still want to marry and have children with these women. Statistics prove otherwise, but you heard the most vocal woman that was up there continuously saying, oh, I think men would, or I don't think that's true. Even though he would say, generally speaking, do you think that most men, well, I do, or I don't know. And then she finally had to say, well, I don't get into the numbers. Well, short bus rider, intellectual midget, some of us do get into the numbers, because the numbers matter. The numbers matter, and I understand that for everything there are exceptions. There are men who will don't care how ran through you are. They don't care if you've been with their friends, their family members. There are some men who don't have morals and values. Or maybe they say they do have morals and values, but they just don't care. They don't care that they are looking at something that hundreds, maybe even thousands of men have seen before. Maybe they don't care. Now, before I continue, I talked about how people, or how I got into this argument with this, not an argument. He actually asked me, told me I was being hypocritical because of the things that I say to Black people. First, let me say that I'm not just saying this to Black people. I'm saying it to all people, okay? Let's start there. I'm saying it to all people. The female on that whatever podcast didn't look black to me, but I'm saying it to all people. Nor am I a hypocrite, because regardless of what I have done in my past, I'm not doing it now. But this particular person wanted to bring up the fact that I have said on numerous occasions that I used to be a stripper. Now, I think this is the perfect time for me to kind of maybe clarify, because in the early 90s, this has been decades ago. In the early 90s, that's what we called it. That's what I assumed it was. Until I went to an actual strip club in Atlanta. It's been over 10 years. And I walked in there and I saw naked women. Not only did I see naked women, but they were just walking around freely, without people having to pay an extra cost to see them completely naked. I don't know. They were popping their legs open as they were lying on the floor. And I thought to myself, as the guy I was with told me to close my mouth, obviously I looked shocked. I thought to myself, well, this is what I thought I was doing. I thought I was a stripper, but if this is the metric for which I need to compare myself by, that's not what I was doing. Okay, we were never allowed to get completely undressed like that, and you did not have to take your top off on the stage. Now, I don't know if this is because I worked in a white club or if this was because it was the 90s. I have no idea if it has just progressed into something that left my mouth hanging on the floor. I don't know. But for those of you who feel like that's what I was doing, I was not. Okay? I was wrong. I thought, that's what it was called. But apparently maybe I was wrong. Somebody let me know in the chat if stripping has progressed to what it is now, where they are completely undressed and they're popping the legs open and you can, see from the rooter to the tutor just by being in the right position. Please, somebody let me know. Maybe it's progressed. Maybe this is what it always was in Black establishments that I did not work in. I don't know. But I need to be clear, that's not what I was doing. Now, I brought that up because people would say, well, how are you talking about sex workers if that is what you were doing? But the reason why, regardless of what the definition of a stripper is, regardless, it is not empowerment. And that is the angle that I would like to come from, because women, you are not empowering yourselves by sleeping with a lot of different men. Men typically will not want to marry you, will not want to make you the mother of their children when this is how you are or have carried yourself. And I'm bringing this angle up because it's clear from the video that I just played and from the women that I see online every day that they are delusional and they think otherwise. So someone has to actually give the stats, because this young lady said, I don't get into the numbers. And I think there are a lot of women being fooled and thinking there's nothing wrong with it and just not getting into the numbers. I was told the other day that this was Shemeka's Schoolhouse Rock. So let's Schoolhouse. Okay, we're going to get into the numbers. Stripping is stripping. Hi, Lotus. Stripping is stripping. Says different organizations have different rules. All right. So she's saying stripping is stripping. Lately, though, have you been to a strip club in the last 10 years? In the last 15 years? I don't know. I had never been to one like 30 years ago. Have you been to one or two or three? Because now, or maybe because, now they all look the same. I need to know if there has been a change. Has it evolved or devolved into what it is now? Let me know that. Earl Grey to Bay, that's how they try to get you to shut up, bring up your past, and call you a hypocrite. If I've learned from my mistakes and want to advise people a different way, that is okay. Correct. Sharisa Jones says you were a stripper and a man wiped you up and you did not have low self-esteem, ... to me. Sharisa, do you know the answer to my question? I need somebody to let me know if it has evolved. That's a side note. That's not what today is about. Side note, I'm going to come back and check in with y'all on whether or not it has gotten progressively more naked. I don't know. But let's talk about the statistics, okay? 89% of women in prostitution want to leave but feel trapped. This is why I say I have to accept it as work, because I do understand that some of these women are doing this because of financial reasons. I get it. McDonald's typically is always hiring. Burger King is always hiring. But for some of these people and the debt they've amassed, I guess, this is what they can do that's pretty easy, because I would think it's physically easy. I wouldn't say that it's mentally or emotionally easy unless there's a kink in the hose, but it would be physically easy. Don't really have to leave your home, I guess. You don't have to put a lot into marketing or branding yourself. I'm assuming it's kind of easy. But because of the financial aspect, a lot of these women feel trapped and like they can't get out because Chick-fil-A is not going to pay what they're used to getting paid. So many of them begin to grow this debt, live above their means, and then they can't get out. And then you add the fact of whether or not they have what we would call a pimp or somebody who actually helps them in this business. It's very difficult for them to just wash their hands of it. And if you are dealing in reality, what some of them may say, how can I clean myself up? I've gone so far. Can I come back to a normal life? 63% of prostituted women report being raped. And I'm going to assume this is a lot of times when they have the so-called pimp or the so-called person managing them. A lot of these women on the whatever podcast were what they call their own woman, or they were the boss, or they called the shots, they wore the pants, or without the pants and without the panties. But some of these women say, that's not me, I'm my own boss. But the numbers say 63% of prostituted women report being raped. Also, the average age of entry into prostitution in the U.S. is 12 to 14 years old. We discussed yesterday how young people, their minds are not developed enough to make such important decisions. And a lot of these people in prostitution, they got into it. They're being trafficked. Maybe they lost their parents for whatever reason. Sometimes they are runaways, and they get into this line of work at very young ages, and they just feel there's no way out. That, again, is not empowerment. It's not empowerment. So for those that are turning a blind eye to the young girls that are in this lifestyle who really don't want to be, but you just want to tag everything with sex work is work, consider the fact that these young girls working never wanted to do this in the first place, but now they're here. Some of them are trying to mentally reckon with themselves and just feel like, well, I'm working. Sex work is work, but it's not empowerment at all. I'll go as far as to let you know that there is a high prevalence of mental health disorder when it comes to sex workers. A systematic review reveals 27% of female sex workers have experienced suicidal ideation, and 20% have attempted suicide. I don't feel like I want to commit suicide clocking into Burger King. I never felt that way. Clocking into Olive Garden, Golden Corral, Brody's Yogurt. I would guess that the amount of people working in regular jobs, or the amount of women, are not suicidal to that degree. This isn't empowerment, y'all. Mood disorders are reported by 30 to 53% of sex workers, while 50 to 88% experience depressive symptoms. So it kind of makes me feel a little sorry for the people that have actually fallen into the trap that this is some type of empowerment. When I was watching that podcast, the Forever podcast, the girl goes on to kind of ridicule people who don't accept it as real work and don't think that these people should be esteemed and looked at highly. She ridicules them for not having empathy. But when I listen very closely, I would say I do have empathy for her and all of the other women who are having to pretend that this is empowering. It's not empowering. And for 50 to 88% to be having depressive symptoms, that would say is not an empowering job to have. It's not an empowering career. And we have to be honest about that. In a Vancouver-based study, nearly 49% of sex workers reported ever having a diagnosed mental health issue. 49% reported having a diagnosed mental health issue. So that's reported. 49% is high. And again, that's reported. Imagine what the numbers would be if, for the people who don't report it, if those who actually didn't report it did, imagine what those numbers would be. Because if 49% this is reported, that's high. That's not empowering. It's not empowering at all. Mood disorders are reported 30 to 53%, 50 to 88% experience depressive symptoms. Anxiety affects 13.6 to 51% of them. These are showing that the numbers are skewed depending on who you ask, but there's a high rate of diagnosed mental illness in sex workers, which would show us that it's not empowerment. This isn't something that young girls should be aspiring to do. Meanwhile, we have sites like OnlyFans busting out the seams. These women are making tons and tons of dollars, but they aren't empowering themselves. They're making money, but they aren't gaining confidence. Among Miami-based sex workers, 88% reported a history of abuse. 74% had severe symptoms of depression, anxiety, or traumatic stress. So we have these women walking around saying sex work is work, pretending like life is good, especially because of the money coming in. But many of them have been abused. Many of them are experiencing severe symptoms of depression. It's not empowering. When I was listening to the young lady who was saying that, she feels like men would accept them and it's fine, that's not what the numbers show. In one study, just under half of female sex workers were in a relationship at the time, but more than half of those partners didn't know they were in the sex industry. So there are a lot of women feeling like, oh, men would be okay with it. Well, then why are you lying? If you feel like men would be okay with it, why are you feeling the need to lie about it and keep that from your so-called partner? Because most men are not okay with that. The majority of men are not okay with sharing their woman with hundreds or thousands of other men. And I know for some people, they say 1,000 or thousands, that's a stretch. You're reaching. Well, we've seen the young ladies lately who have been setting their goals at sleeping with 1,000 men in a certain time period, like 2 days or 3 days or something like that, trying to reach 1,000 and reaching 1,000 with men lined up sometimes in mass so that you can't see who they are, but lined up to actually be one of 1,000. I don't understand how that's empowering when you can't even be your authentic self in the relationship, lying about not only what you do, but really who you are. How is that empowering? How are we framing this as empowerment? It's not. Because if you truly are more confident, as empowerment suggests, you're confident in who you are and what you're doing, and you're not hiding it, especially from the person that you are supposed to be in an intimate relationship with. More than half of you are lying about what you do. Because regardless of what podcast you get on, and regardless of how much you want to pretend that you don't think is anything wrong with it, you know that it is. So you hide it from the person you lay down with every night. Because you know more often than not, that person that you're laying down with don't want you laying down with hundreds and thousands of others. So we can keep pretending like this is empowerment, But this is why it's part of this series, the war on words, because that's the lie. It absolutely is not the lie. Can you really build trust when your partner doesn't even know your reality? So no, y'all aren't building romantic, long-lasting relationships on lies. That's not empowering. 38% of sex workers had kids removed by CPS. So how do you parent when the system says your job makes you unfit? Is that empowering? Is it empowering to have your kids snatched from you? Is it empowering to have your kids in that situation, period? To have to be taken by CPS. We wouldn't tell someone abusing their child who CPS has to come in for, oh, that's empowering. But somehow we're making this job, we're pretending like this is an empowering job. Sex work is work. It's not empowering at all. A lot of sex workers deal with isolation and stress. Many choose to stay single because intimacy is too risky. So if you're choosing to stay single because intimacy is too risky, then how really are you free? That doesn't sound freeing, doesn't sound empowering, because you think trust and intimacy is impossible. Where's the idea that you're going to be able to get married and start a family? Many of you are staying single. For those of you who are in relationship, more than half of you are lying about what you actually do. And then there's some of you getting your kids snatched. This isn't an empowering job. 4 in 10 sex workers had their children taken by child services. 4 in 10. This isn't at all empowering. Why they do that? Because the woman strips is a personal choice. Some women do it for finances while in college. Yeah, we aren't discussing really the financial aspect. We want to talk, we're warring with the fact that people think it's empowering. Usher said strip. Usher allegedly has herpes as well. So Usher might say a lot of things that we don't want to listen to. Earl Grey Bay says Usher is not the type of man anyone would want. He is feminine AF. He is very feminine. Let's see. All my hoes demonetized is in here. Thank you for joining us. Oh, it was 1,024 hours. I love my dog. Says it was 1,024 hours. Can you imagine what that looked like down there after 1,000 men? 1,000 men, period. 1,000 men in a lifetime is too many. You're telling me 1,024 hours? Somebody gonna say, "Ooh, let me wife that." I mean, is it even in any condition to have a child afterwards? I mean, the baby probably just fall out. Won't be no pushing. You're just walking, and the baby just, you look down, baby on the floor. How is that thing gonna hold that baby in after 1,000 men then been in there in 24? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't understand. If I were a stripper, my name would be Naughty Shorty. I don't like that. That's not a sexy name, Earl Grey Bay. Let's come up with something else. Naughty Shorty. Naughty Shorty. That sounds like a rapper, not a stripper. Naughty Shorty don't sound like a stripper. All my hoes demonetized. What I love about you is your transparency. Own your past and learn from it with total ascension. God bless you, Shemeka. Thank you so much. I have definitely learned, and every young woman that has ever been in my presence will say it's not something that I ever said, yeah, go do that, make that money. No, no. And I can tell you, you know, my daughters, at least one, you know, could make some decent coins. And the answer has always been absolutely not. And I have had a lot of young girls that I have mentored and that have been in my presence. And it's just not something that I ever pushed. I will say that I find that people will generally, or some people will listen to me because of my experience. And then some of them actually appreciate the fact that I'm honest about it. I'm not trying to lie about it. And so they say, okay, you know, they'll listen to me a little bit more. Miguel says topless and totally nude bars. There's a difference. Thank you, Miguel. I needed somebody to tell me. So I should say I worked at a topless bar, but I guess would it still be called a stripper? I guess it would be. But yeah, totally nude. I'm telling y'all, my mouth was on the floor. This bottom lip was just dragging as I walked because I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. Definitely not empowering. It actually feels like a form of manipulation by men to get access to women's bodies with no commitment. And that's exactly what they're doing. I'm telling you, I saw videos of them lined up for one of these women, because it's been more than one of these women who had the were trying to reach the 1,000 men or whatever. They were in, some of them in the dominatrix mask or whatever, just fully covered up, ski mask. Where's the confidence in that? You know, they knew they were doing something they had no business doing. So even the men wanted to hide it. And yeah, they're not looking for a commitment. I bet if you ask those same men, some of them probably had women at home, but if you ask those same men, they wouldn't be interested in marrying any of those women. And I just feel like if you have something that's not empowering you to be a wife and a mom, you're just as destructive as the homosexuals, any other person that you said they're tearing up the family. You're just as destructive. Pretty Woman was a movie, people. Absolutely. He wiped her up, but that was a movie. You typically won't find some good-looking rich man that's gonna then decide I'm gonna put a ring on it. And Pretty Woman is one of my favorite movies of all time. Lotus Flower says foster children who were abused or sex trafficking victims too. Absolutely. Earl Grey Bay says she missed the clip. I'm gonna send it to you on X. Okay, I'll send it to you. That Dallas Cowboy documentary wasn't just the 90s. Cowboys that was going on with with the 60s, 70s, 80s up to present day. Cowboys and all pro sports franchises. Is that a conversation y'all were having without me? I don't know. I didn't see the documentary though. Sharisa says, I have never been to a strip club. You aren't missing anything. I'm telling you. Stand in front of the mirror and bend over. That's all you're gonna see. That's all you're gonna see. Nowadays, it doesn't even seem like they are learning any tricks on the pole. They just bent over twerking. You can literally see that in your own home. So you don't need to go. I'm telling you. I was surprised, shocked. I'm talking about these women were laying on the floor like dogs in heat. And what to my wondering eyes did appear? That's how I felt. Yes. If I was a stripper, my name would be Astino. Hey, Thomas. Remember back in the day, girls had beepers because they were escorts. And now, they just have their social media platforms. Earl Grey Bay, as soon as they turn 18, they go straight to OnlyFans now. Like, sis, did you even try to get a regular job first? It used to be a last resort. Absolutely. Now it's the first thing. You know how many jobs I held before I said, well, you know, although it was something that I felt like I wanted to do, I held a lot of jobs first. I sold yogurt, pizza, stood out in the mall holding out vegetable sticks. You want a sample? You know, I did a lot before getting there. Now you're right. That's the first thing. Earl Grey Bay, the male strippers. I don't know what you're talking about, but listen, I think all male strippers are gay. That's just my thoughts. I don't know. I don't think a man should just be gyrating around like that. Your hips, men's hips weren't meant to move that way. I don't like it. Male strippers know the real money is in entertaining men. See, Earl Grey, we are here. Men just pay more for sex work. The real money is in entertaining men. Earl Grey. What is the definition of empowerment? The process of becoming stronger and more confident, which these ladies are not doing at all. Y'all are having some good conversation in here that I have missed because Earl Grey and Asino, y'all having y'all own conversation about a buddy that wasn't telling everybody everything. And I want to know, but I'm not going to go through all of these comments because the bottom line is, and I think we all agree, sex work is not women's empowerment. Stimulated Student says, this is the irritating thing about modern day. Women that aren't even strippers justify it just like they justify other bad behaviors. Young men can't tell the difference between a whore and a lady. This is where we are in modern day. This is where we are. Degeneracy comes in all forms, absolutely. Earl Grey Bay wants to know, Lotus, are you a dancer? I can tell you the answer is no. But Lotus, did you answer? She said, hell no. She believes in personal choices. Keep it naked. Yes, I do. I'm going to be 100% open, honest, and emotionally exposed. Hi, Michelle. Thank you for the super chat. Just wanted to support your channel, Generation X. Generation X. I feel like we're the best generation. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Earl Grey said, thank you for donating. Yes, thank you so much for donating. Thomas, I went to one and a girl was dancing in front of me and she was clearly in her second trimester at least. I was like, I gotta go. They will strip pregnant. Nicholas Gunn says, in the A, the strip club is casual as IHOP or Wendy's. LOL. It's really normal and usually the best wing spots. I hear that they have the best wing spots. Honestly, one of my friends got upset because I said I didn't know they had good wings. And he called me. I said this on Jason's show. He called me and was like, so you mean to tell me you've never heard that they had good wings? No. Number one, I don't remember if they sold food where I worked. I don't remember. I know they had liquor, of course. I don't remember them selling food. I don't ever remember it smelling like chicken. And I just never heard somebody say, I need to go and get me some good chicken wings, and the strip club was the choice. It's been within the last year that I really heard the conversation that they have the best chicken wings. I was clueless. I had no idea. Khalees thinks that's funny, y'all. And her and Kayla are having a conversation. Hey, Kayla Rain. They're so cute. These young girls with their iPhones want to be Retarded B or Sexy Red or Megan Thee Stallion. Shake my head. That's exactly, they're looking at that and feeling like, well, maybe I can then pop off my rap career or my singing career. Or you see someone like Cardi B who actually does go and get married, then you feel like it's okay. But from my understanding, I don't think these particular girls, well, let me leave out Sexy Red, but I don't think Retarded B actually promoted herself as sleeping with a lot of men. I don't know. I do not know. Don't start me to lie. Yes. Let's see. We are Shemeka Generation X. We are the best. Shout out to the millennials. Shout out to them. Oh, Earl Grey Bay, you're a millennial, aren't you? I have to shout you out because you are someone that I like. That's a millennial. So I'm shouting you out. Kayla Rain says, yes, strip clubs have the best food. Yeah, I was late to the game. I had no idea. Generation X needs to hold that L for ignoring C. Dolores Tucker. Now, stimulated students. Let me see. This is my L. I'm holding the L because you're absolutely right. We ignored her. Not only did we ignore her, we were upset, mad, calling her out of her name because we felt like we wanted to hear whatever we wanted to hear, not even realizing that we were contributing to future degeneracy. And I have said before, as someone who listened to Lil' Kim walked so Sexy Red could run. I mean, Sexy Red is here because of the popularity of Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown and the foolishness that we celebrated among them. Now, I know you're telling a tale now, Nicholas. They definitely selling food now. Lamb chops at the strip club. Everybody know I loves me a good lamb chop now. But I cook a really good lamb chop. So I guess I don't need to go. I don't want to be caught in there. The Dollhouse has great food. I've heard of the Dollhouse. Cougar, where is that? Because Cougar's from North Carolina. So where's the Dollhouse? I've definitely heard of that. Retarded B is funny. It's funny and it's accurate. Stimulated students. I used to train a stripper when I worked at the gym. Many strip because they feel it's the only time they can exert power over a man because they have a deep-seated resentment towards men. Ooh, that's a good train of thought. I need to chew on that. Because I actually feel like women are more powerful in their femininity, and there's power in submission. That's my belief now. But I can see how some women would feel that way. Kayla says, Sexy Red just looks so dusty and dirty to me. Me too. I don't think there's anything that she could put on that I would actually think that she didn't look dusty or dirty. She looks really, really dusty and dirty. Generation X, we're taking the L. They're in the comments taking the L. We understand. See, that's how you have to be accountable. That's why I like Generation X, because we are a little bit quicker to be accountable. They're all in the comments saying, I got to take the L. We were wrong. We set the wrong example. And we did. You know, I was in the club, you know, I'm thinking of it. I was about to say drinking babies, but I won't drinking the babies in the club. I was rapping about drinking the babies with Lil' Kim. You preaching at Lil' Kim. These new 304s now are virgins compared to her. Yeah, Lil' Kim. You see how I just got tongue-tied thinking of a lyric myself. Okay, you said it's in Raleigh. I'm a single A mom, not proud of it, but I'm a good mom. And a good mom, like, you can't rewind time. It is what it is, but be a good mom. My daughter is thriving. Thank goodness. And I would go out on a limb, Michelle, and say, you aren't telling your daughter, hey, go out here and have a baby with no man. You don't need him. I would go out on a limb and say, I bet you aren't doing that. Because when you really take accountability and you can look at your life and see where you made, mistakes or whatever, a good person says, hey, especially to a daughter, this is what I did. Don't do it. Don't do it this way. When you know that somebody is about to fall off a cliff, you know that cliff is in 10 feet, you do whatever you can screaming before they get to that 10 foot and fall off. You're screaming, hey, that's a cliff. Anybody that just sits back and let the person that they supposed to love the most, they're supposed to love the most, just fall off the cliff. Did you really love that person? So you're right, Earl Grey Bay. When they want to shut you up, you can't shut me up. Michelle says, y'all remember Freaknik? Yes. I went one time and that was enough for me. Okay, let me see what my godson is saying. TJ said they come out butt naked. They don't even strip anymore. They don't. I'm telling you, when I went, you know how they're supposed to be this little, I have a scarf right here. They're supposed to be like this little tease, you wrapped up and you teasing, doing a little tease. And then you finally take it off and then you toss it. That's gone. I'm telling you, you just walk in and you just see butt naked all over the place. All butt naked from the door. That's all you see. And I'm telling you, they're on the floor now, gyrating like dogs in heat. It's Michelle Jenkins says we were sexually irresponsible. See, that's why I like Gen X. And this is why I like talking to y'all. Because y'all ain't giving me no flack. Y'all are agreeing with me. There is no empowerment in spreading yourselves around and being whores. And that's what sex work is. It's whores. Maybe you're making a little bit more than the whore on the corner. If you have an OnlyFans, or if you are in control, maybe you're making more money than the crackhead on Andrew Avenue. Maybe. But there's still no empowerment in that. You are still a whore. You are still a slut. You are still loose. And most men, according to statistics, don't want to wife you or make you the mother of his children. And most of you, according to statistics, I went over them. If you're just joining, rewind, are battling with mental issues. There's no empowerment in that. I want to remind y'all that Friday I will not be here because I have to go to New York. I am speaking in New York. So wish me luck, because I'm also doing a debate table. Wish me luck. Anyway, I will see y'all tomorrow, because this battle may be over, but the war continues on. Let's all join here tomorrow, same place, same time, to see what's going to cause me tomorrow to shake my head. Like this whole women's empowerment, shaking my head, because y'all drive me crazy trying to make things okay that are not okay. I blame feminism for warping a lot of the brains, especially the brains of women who are loud, proud, feminist, and wrong. Thank you again, Michelle. I appreciate it. I will see y'all tomorrow, head shakers. I love you. Yes, later, head shakers. Cougar, look at what you've done. Head shakers. Cougar made this. She made it popular. See y'all tomorrow.